I felt defeated. I was completely crushed. I hated feeling old because only old people need medicine every day. I actually had to get one of those pill distributor thingies in order to keep track of my medications. And then I needed to set alarms to remember to take medications. I felt horrible about it. And I told my doctor immediately that I wanted off these medications, and they told me I was on them for the rest of my life. So that completely crushed me some more. I was devastated.
Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi, friend. Do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Thank you, listeners, for joining me again for part 2 of the interview with my guest, Cindy Eagle. In part 1, we learned that Cindy and her husband had lived off-grid until she had a major heart attack, which resulted in surgery with a stent placement. Prior to that, she had been just eating the usual American regular diet with mostly processed convenience foods, fast food, as well as very little vegetables and quite a bit of sugary snacks and treats as well. So just a standard kind of diet that most Americans have been on. But apart from prediabetes, she wasn't really having major health issues that had been diagnosed already at that time. So it came as a real shock for her to have this heart attack all of a sudden and to wake up from the operating room to have learned that she had had a stent placement. So that was part of the catalyst in terms of them moving her and her husband back into the city to live with her daughter. And then she started on February 14th, Valentine's Day, with a whole food plant-based diet. And she's been on that ever since. So welcome, Cindy, for joining us again for this podcast interview. I'm so glad to have you here.
Hi, thank you.
So, Cindy, I'd love to pick back up to the time when you had that heart attack and you had that stent placement. So, after you had that surgery, did the doctors then put you on any medications after that? And if so, what were they?
They put me on a statin, rosuvastatin, and they put me on 20 milligrams of that. And then they had blood pressure, metoprolol, and losartan, and then 81 milligram of aspirin every day as a blood thinner, and then Brilinta, which is also a blood thinner, and it has some properties to keep your stent from gumming up and having problems with the stent.
That's quite a number of medicines you were placed on. So, going from 0, like you mentioned before, to now having 5 prescription medications. How did you feel at the time when you got all those medications to start taking?
I felt defeated. I was completely crushed. I hated feeling old because only old people need medicine every day. I actually had to get one of those pill distributor thingies separated by days of the week and AM and PM in order to keep track of my medications. And then I needed to set alarms to remember to take medications. I felt horrible about it. And I told my doctor immediately that I wanted off these medications, and they told me I was on them for the rest of my life. So that completely crushed me some more. I was devastated.
What news to receive from your doctor to hear that you would likely be on these for the rest of your life? And I can imagine with all these meds, you definitely need a pill distributor to keep track of them. You have to set alarms to remind yourself to take them because you can't take them all together at the same time. So it becomes this whole new burden that you have to carry with all these medications.
Yep, and that's when I decided I had to do some research because I didn't accept that I was gonna be on these medications for the rest of my life. I refused to accept it. And when I started reading that it was possible to reverse heart disease, I was like, "I'm on board, I've gotta do that." And the only way to do it is through plant-based eating and exercise. I've gotta take care of myself.
I agree with you. And did you have any side effects from all these medications you were taking?
I started experiencing low blood pressure, and I was tired all the time. They actually had to cut my metoprolol in half. They did that, like, 3 months after the heart attack. I told my doctor I was just too tired, I couldn't function, and they said, "Okay, we'll cut this one in half." And I was happy about that, and it's like, okay, they were able to adjust that. That proved to me that I did not necessarily have to have these medications for the rest of my life. I did feel much better right after that.
I'm glad to hear that. Definitely, medications can have different side effects. So I'm glad your doctors were able to cut that one in half at least. And I know it seems like a whole new thing now, following the heart attack, to now have to prioritize your own health and self care. Because, like you mentioned, you must have been so busy when you were living off grid, taking care of all the things and taking care of your husband who had the terminal illness. So that heart attack really kind of set things more in perspective and pushed your health up the priority scale for you.
Yes, yeah, it really made me number one and made me realize that I wasn't done. I really need to live and I need to live fully.
Definitely. And in your parents or immediate family members, were there medical conditions like heart disease or blood pressure or other issues?
My grandmother had died of a heart attack, but that's the only heart disease in my family history. My mom had COPD, just as my husband does, and that's what she succumbed to. And my father has colon cancer, which is also dietary, but he's at the end stages of his colon cancer at this point in our lives.
I'm so sorry to hear about all this. I think it's sometimes doubly hard to be watching on the sidelines for the people that we love, for all the health problems that they're having and watching them go through that. So I'm sure it's probably difficult too, watching your father go through the end stages of colon cancer.
It adds to the stress in my life, yes.
I'm sure it does, definitely. And you were only 57 when you had your heart attack. So I think that must have been a double shock as well.
It really was.
So now that you've been plant-based eating for about 6 months now, how has that changed your health?
It has made dramatic changes. I actually look forward to going to the doctors now. I ask for blood draws because love to see the numbers, the improvements. It kind of appeals to the geeky side of me. On February 14th, I had all my cholesterol checked and my blood sugars checked, and I was definitely at the very high end of pre-diabetes. They were about ready to diagnose me with full-blown diabetes. My A1C was at 6.3. My cholesterols didn't look too bad according to a standard standpoint. It was in the normal range where people are not worried about heart attacks. And I would look at the numbers and say, gee, how come I had a heart attack? Because these numbers aren't that scary. Well, apparently they are that scary because that heart attack almost killed me. And then July 5th, I went back to my primary care and they tested just my A1C and it had gone down to the very low end of prediabetes at 5.8. I was still in the pre-diabetic range, but my next time I get blood drawn, I know it's going to be in the normal range. But my cholesterol has gone down significantly, whereas now even a cardiologist should be happy to see these numbers.
That's fantastic to hear, Cindy. I'm rejoicing with you. Just to see the changes in the A1C coming down so much just within a couple of months in July. and to see the cholesterol and other numbers come down as well. But
My numbers were still really good at the point that I did have the heart attack. So the numbers did not indicate what happened.
yes, so making those lifestyle changes probably is still the best way to go.
I think it's the only way to go, actually, to ensure that your body is getting what it needs.
I absolutely agree with you 100%. I think just this past week you had another doctor's visit. How did that go?
I left on cloud nine. I had never been happier to leave the doctor's office in my life. I actually had to text my mother-in-law immediately because my total cholesterol had gone down from 133 to 89. My triglycerides had gone down from 158 to 78. And they told me I can go off all of my prescription medications by the time I had been on them for a year. So I still have to take my Brilinta until November 27th, the anniversary of my heart attack, simply because they say that you have to stay on that for a year after a heart attack. But on that date, I'll be done with every single one of my prescriptions.
Wow, that's fantastic news to hear.
Yeah, they're tapering me off the statins, and I will be completely off them all because I eat plant-based.
Yes, that's fantastic. And so that November 27th will be the 1 year anniversary of your heart attack, but it's also a double reason to celebrate. It's coming off of your medications too. I think you can start planning already for that.
I have already started planning. I've cut my medications, all my pills in half. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
That's wonderful. And you can decide what to do with that pill distributor box after that.
Yeah, I think it's going into the back of a closet somewhere.
That's so great. And when will you
Yep.
see your heart doctor again?
I will not see my heart doctor again until March. They're only looking at me every 6 months. They don't need to see me anymore.
That's even better news. You get to cut down on your doctor visits as well. So, was the doctor quite surprised when he saw you this week? The fact that you had stayed on a plant based diet for 6 months?
Oh my God. Well, first they addressed my weight loss. I said, wow, you've lost a lot of weight. It's like, yeah, I lost 30 pounds since your last visit. And they asked how I did it. And I said, plant-based. And she said, you're my hero today. You're just my favorite patient in the whole world.
Isn't that so exciting to see that you're able to at least influence your doctor in some way positively to see that eating plant based can work to help in combating heart disease? And perhaps she would be more open to supporting plant based eating with future patients that she sees as well.
Yes, I think so. I think that she won't be as scared to recommend it. Like when she first recommended Mediterranean to me, it's like she should have just gone full hog and said, go plant-based.
That's true. And maybe now she will for the next cardiac patient that she sees. Have you experienced any other positive changes aside from that, maybe mentally or in other ways?
Just as I said, the energy, I feel more alive. Yeah, I can move now without dread. From February to now, I had lost 30 pounds. From the heart attack to February with the clean eating, I had lost 20 pounds. I lost a total of 50 pounds since the heart attack.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm sure that also made a big difference to you feeling more energized and more active as well. So
Yes, now I'm concentrating on moving more and toning up this body and these weak muscles.
that's a great next goal to begin working on, as well as continuing your plant based diet as well. So prior to plant based eating, did you try other diets and how did that impact your health and body?
I was a firm believer in eating keto. I would eat clean keto. So I lived on basically chicken and broccoli. I would eat half my plate protein and half my plate vegetable. And that I felt was the absolute healthiest diet to be around. And it was a lot healthier than my standard American diet. I gotta agree there. But I did not realize that the meat on my plate was making my arteries unhappy. But I also had increased energy then, and I was losing weight then. So I felt like I was receiving the same health benefits as I do now with the plant-based diet. And I'm thinking now, in hindsight, I think it's because it was yet a better diet than I had before, even though it wasn't the best diet possible.
I agree with you. That was probably the case compared to what your previous diet was like with the standard American diet. Were you on the keto diet for a long time?
On and off. I would always cheat and stray away from it. So I never stayed on it for more than like 3 or 4 months. I always went right back to my standard American diet because I was missing my sweets mostly. That's when I started my diet soda addiction because I felt it had no carbohydrates. It was fine for me. But now I'm afraid of the chemicals that are actually in that diet soda. I now have more of a focus on my nutrition rather than just avoiding certain foods. I want my food to be nutrient dense where my body is happy with it.
That's a great way to be now really seeing what that food can offer you in terms of the nutrients. Cindy, I want to thank you so much for just sharing your experience with us today. As we close, what is one key takeaway you'd like to give our listeners, like a tip or something that you wish you knew when you started or what you've learned that you'd like to pass on to others?
The biggest tidbit I want to pass on is if you want to embrace a plant-based diet, go for it. If you fall back onto old eating habits, don't worry about it. Get back onto the plant-based and just do it over and over and over again until it sticks. Don't worry about it. Don't think yourself a failure. Just do it again. Stand up and dust yourself off and heat up that broccoli.
Yes, I agree with you. That's a great tip. I think many of us think of plant based eating as just like another diet. So if you fail, you're horrible, you're a failure. But that's not the way to think about it. And I love what you said about just do it over and over again till it sticks. And even if there's a little bit of a setback, to see it as a setback, but not failure, but that you can move forward and continue on in your journey and learn more about it and get better at it, right? With every single day that you're moving forward.
Just keep moving forward. Don't think, oh, I blew it. It's done now. It's like, it's not done. Just continue on.
That's a great bit of encouragement for our listeners to hear. So thank you, Cindy, for being a guest on the Plant Based Eating Made Easy podcast today and for sharing your story with us. You show that there is hope to improve one's health by taking steps to change one's lifestyle and diet, even after something as major as a heart attack. I'm sure your story will encourage and help others who are in a similar situation to see that they don't have to accept things as they are and take all those prescription medications indefinitely, but that there are things that they can do to transform their health, even naturally, without needing to take increasingly more meds or undergo heart surgery. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Cindy.
Thanks for having me.
I hope this guest interview has truly encouraged and empowered you on your own health journey, showing you that change in your own health circumstances is possible. It does not need to stay where it is, and you do not need to stay where you are. You may just need the right support, guidance, and strategies to enable you to make the lifestyle changes you need in order to see positive health transformation in your own life. So, if you're excited at the possibilities of eating plant based for your own life and health circumstance and want clear guidance and support on how to best move forward in this, do reach out to me by email at healthnow@plantnourish.com or apply for a free rapid health transformation call using the link in the show notes. We'll be able to connect, and I can then better understand your specific health situation and challenges and let you know what I think the next best steps are for you in your plant based diet journey. I would love to support you so you can reach your health and weight goals with ease while enjoying a thriving plant-powered lifestyle. Thank you for listening to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. If this podcast has helped you, please take a moment to rate and leave a written review on the Apple Podcast app or on iTunes. Knowing how this podcast has made a difference in your life never fails to light me up. I may also select your review to be read on the show. Remember that moving to plant-based eating can be simple and doable, even with your existing health challenges and busy lifestyle. If you have a plant-based diet question you'd like me to answer on this show, share that question with me using the contact options in the show notes. Thanks for joining me today, and I can't wait to connect with you again in the next episode. Until next time, keep plant-focused and thriving, my friend.